This is Carla Lynn, and you're listening From Nothing to Profit.
Welcome to From Nothing to Profit, a photographer's podcast with Matt and Kaya, where each week they talk to photographers about what is working in their business now so you can swipe those ideas and grow your business faster.
Hey, everybody. So Matt Hoagland here. I think this will be the final interview from Sync. I'm with my friend Carla Lynn. And so
to go out with a bang.
Right,
I can do this. I can go out with a bang. We got this. Okay.
So I have to tell you this crazy story. So I met Carla not last year at Sync, but the year before. And so I was hosting the Miller's Lounge, and you had come out to hang out with us, and we had like free beer or something like that. And we were talking about pricing and sales.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I remember that. Joe was there.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
And so we were talking, and you said, you know, I want to figure out how to sell my albums better. And we were talking about this, and I was like, and you were talking about how good, you know, just like what you were doing. And I was like, well, sounds like you got it all figured out. And then I said, how many albums do you sell? And you said, I don't know, I sell them to like 80% of my clients. And I was like, why are you talking to me about sales? If you're selling your albums to 80% of the clients, you probably should be teaching everybody here. But anyways.
I do remember that.
So it's one of those things that I just think, you know, obviously you guys do really well in your business, and I think you're more humble than you probably should be, because I know you guys really kick butt. So anyway, thanks for being on this interview.
I am so excited.
I know. And Carla said she's never done a podcast like this.
No,
so
I'm just going to mic. I feel like I'm a big time person, but this is good. Okay.
I'm just going to throw curveballs at her left and right so that she thinks she doesn't know what's coming. Anyways, okay. I introduced you. I know you from here, but tell us about your studio, where you're from, all that stuff.
So I guess I will start with, I'm from Bolivia, South America, and I have lived between both countries my whole life. I am bilingual. I speak Spanish and English.
Should we do this whole thing in Spanish? I can't speak that much Spanish.
I can do that. You want to try that in Spanish? Let's see if anybody understands what we're saying. Probably not.
I don't know enough Spanish to keep up with you.
So I am bilingual, lived in both countries. I am hearing impaired. I have lost more of my hearing progressively. Started about 30%. Now I have less than 10% left in both of my ears.
And when did it start?
From birth.
Okay.
So it's nerve damage from birth.
Okay.
So you may catch my slurred speech at times. I do hear it now. So when I hear myself and I do videos, I'm like, oh my God, do I really sound like this? But anyways, so it's a good thing I don't hear myself right now. I'm just like talking to you. So it's better than that. But I do need to listen to this podcast once you play it back. But anyways, okay. So I went to Bolivia to do high school. And then I actually got pregnant with my son when I just started my junior year of high school. So I'm 17 years old, just starting. And I went to a private school, and they told me I would not be able to stay and graduate with my senior class. So I finished my junior year, got my credits early, and I came to the States with my baby, a suitcase, and my mom came to help me, and I was 18 years old.
And where did you move to when you got?
I moved to Nashville, Tennessee.
Is that where you still are?
And that's where I still am.
Okay.
Yep, I came. I was 18 years old when I moved here. My brother lived in Nashville. I needed a male figure in my life to just kind of be there to help me get through it. And I was determined to come and give Sebastian a better opportunity.
That's awesome.
I wanted him to have a chance.
And he's like 24 now or something.
He's 23.
That.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
He's 23 right now. And so I had him on Christmas Day.
Oh, wow.
So I have to share that because it wasn't really one of the prettiest seasons of my life. And the Lord gave me a blessing. He really blessed me and showed me that He was there with me in the midst of it all.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So I am 18 years old, no senior year, 3 jobs. I worked doing data entry. I worked doing retail. And then my 3rd job was at Chuck E. Cheese at nighttime. So once I put Sebastian to sleep, I could go clean the bathrooms in the restaurant so I could have free tokens and free pizza to take him. So I have to share that story because it is how I met my husband. And so he was my boss. Don't ever date your boss.
Yeah.
Anyways, I dated my boss. And,
at Chuck E. Cheese.
And so anyhow, I married him. We have been now married for 20 years. We're celebrating 21 years of marriage. And I have another son. So we have another son. My husband ended up adopting Sebastian at the age of 3.
Cool.
So that was really a big thing for us.
Does your husband speak Spanish? No.
My child does not know Spanish.
No, but does your husband?
No, my husband's a gringo. He's American. White boy, no Spanish.
Okay.
But he does know his name in Spanish. That means I'm mad at him. So he does know that one.
Yeah.
But no Spanish. My kids don't know Spanish either. We just stuck to English, which shame on me. I know I probably shouldn't have done that, but you know what? I'm not perfect. I own it.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Okay, so then how did you end up in the photography thing?
Okay.
How'd that happen?
So I started, my kids were little. We're going to Disney World. My husband's like, you need to get a camera. So he gets me a digital, like, one of the first Canons, Rebel XTI or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I had. And we go to Disney World and I take 1 million pictures. And he does that so that I can delete the ones we don't like so that he's not spending a fortune on the film, which is what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really realize that I had this talent. And so I just like taking pictures of my kids on the trip. And then our son played Little League. So I would take pictures of him playing baseball. And then just posting them and sharing them. And people would literally say, hey, can you do my child in sports? Can you do my family photos? Mm-hmm. So I literally had the title of a mom with a camera.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm taking you way back.
Right. Because now I know that's not the case anymore. You're like, you're kicking butt now.
No, it is not the case anymore. I was a mom with a camera for a long time. I did it part-time. I did it on the side. Mm-hmm. And I kept the Little League portion because it was a good gig that I got where I just photographed the kids while they were playing their ball games and stuff. Yeah. But I ended up I worked full-time. So I'm taking you to about 11, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I worked full-time. And I'm actually managing a medical practice. Mm-hmm. And so I have a great title, like 25 employees. I work with my doctors and my nurse practitioners. I dress really cute every day. I have authority, title, everything that people would say, this woman has got it. She's successful.
Right.
And I was broken.
Yeah.
I was empty. Mm-hmm. I actually thought I didn't want to stay married anymore. Mm-hmm. I thought I was going to allow my family to become broken. Mm-hmm. And I had to walk away from that to find myself. Yeah. And I was already doing photography on the side, but it wasn't a full-time thing. Yeah. And so I can
You probably didn't consider yourself a photographer at that point. Like,
yes, I did consider myself a photographer, but kind of like the shoot and burn photographers, because,
sure.
I was charging $75 for all 150 fully retouched images.
Right.
Because, I felt like I had to do a lot to give them for their money.
Yeah.
Because, I thought they need a lot of images to get something of value and worth. And so, I consider myself a photographer in quotation marks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I hit rock bottom. I walk away from that. And I kid you not, the Lord uses this talent he had given me all along that I didn't know to restore me, restore my marriage, my family, and say, we're going to do something different. And so I decided to then pursue photography full time. Okay. So we're about 10, 11 years now, 10 years ago. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I have people telling me, no, you can't. You can't make a living at it. It's a hobby.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, just watch me.
Yeah.
So, and I had to try. I had to give it my all because at the end of the day, I felt like I needed to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, I did everything I could, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So,
but obviously it has worked out just fine.
It has. I worked out of my home for a while. Mm-hmm. We did that for a couple of years, but then we quickly got tired of having cereal every single night because we had clients coming into our home and we couldn't have it smelling like taco night, know?
Right.
So there were a lot of limitations. So I decided to find a space, brick and mortar space, retail space. Mm-hmm. And my husband was freaked out. He's a numbers guy, analytical. Everything needs to add up. Everything needs to make sense while we're doing it. And I'm like, no, we have to just try this. So I had agreed with him, even if I didn't earn a paycheck for 3 years, I had to try this. Mm-hmm. And so we got a retail space, and immediately my husband realized, she can do this.
This is going to work, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I was there for 3 years, had shared space with 2 other photographers, and then realized I like being alone. I like being in control of my own space. And so then I went through this place where I asked my own self a lot of questions about who I was as a person, what God wanted of me, and how I needed to manage the gifts that he had given me, and then decided to take the leap and go by myself into my own space where I have been for the last 3 years.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And you do mostly high school seniors, is that true?
I do. I do just high school seniors pretty much. I do Little League still on the side, but I do high school seniors. For the last 3 years in a row, I've done 140 seniors, so they're non-contract seniors.
Yeah, so you're doing just fine for yourself.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so...
Did I talk too much?
No, that was perfect.
I did talk too much, right? Somebody tell me I did.
Okay, so the next question is just like, what's working now in your business? So like when you think about your business, what's working now?
What's working out? What's working good? I'll tell you one of the things for me has been just being authentic. My authenticity, being real, and sharing that to my street team. So my model program, my street team program that I have has been very, very successful for me in my area. It started really as a marketing thing, trying to reach out to the kids in the schools, because in my area, all the schools have a contract with their school photographers. So I can't go and drop off any brochures or any information. So I had to decide how I could get my name out there. And so at first I created my street team. Because my clientele is not model-like material, so to speak. Even though the definition of models is really changing in the industry.
Yes. But, not like blonde and tall.
Yeah, blonde, tall, size 0.
Yeah.
It's not my client.
Yeah.
My client is a girl that is quirky, that is struggles with social anxiety, may even have depression. My girl is the one that is walking down the hallway and nobody glances at her.
Yeah.
My girl is the one that doesn't have a prom date. So we're trying to figure out how to let me be her prom date, but the school is not letting me get in. So I have a problem with that one because I'm not 20. I have to be under 21. Dang it!
Right.
Anyways, so that is my client. And so I have these what started as marketing for me with these group of girls has really turned into so much deeper.
Yeah.
So it's building more relationships. I am teaching these girls that it is okay to be who they are and teaching them to be authentic and true and to know that they are enough. So,
well, and I can't imagine that they don't get looks in the hallway and dates and prom dates after they have pictures taken by you, because I've seen your work and it's excellent. So they probably get a lot more attention after people see their pictures.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
They don't realize how I see them, so I have to show them and teach them to see themselves differently.
Yeah. Which I think is
so.
Is
so
huge.
they just do all the chattering for me.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Okay, so let's just you're not talking too much. So let's talk about the industry.
Okay.
And just general, like, what are you fired up about in the industry, or where do you see the industry going, or talk about the industry. When you think of the industry, what do you think about?
One of the things that I do love about our industry is I feel like we, especially having been here at Sync and hearing the speakers that we've had here, is really about the connections with the people.
Yeah.
That it's about how we're making them feel.
Sure.
And to me, that's just so much more important than other stuff. The lighting, yes, and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like it really boils down to what is the impact of that photo having on that person? What kind of impact are you having? So I think that to me is huge.
Right.
I worked really hard to come out of the digital world into artwork and products for the home.
Because at first you were just a turn and burner.
I was a shoot and burner. $75.
Right. Carla Lynn, $75.
Yep. 150 images retouched.
We all want that deal now.
Yeah. What's funny is I have had a client, I have photographed all 3 of her children through that entire span. Her first child was at $75 shoot and burn, and the last child spent $4,000.
Right. Isn't that amazing? So talk about your journey into products and stuff like that.
Into products. So, when I first started, I was shoot and burn. I didn't know that there was a whole world out there to pricing. I didn't know that I actually had to charge more. I could charge for things. I don't know. I lived in my little bubble of, I just didn't know there was more to it.
Yeah.
But I started going to conferences, educating myself, asking people, learning. I think that's really important that people need to continue to do in the industry. I don't know that we have enough of that. I think some of us think we just know it all and we don't need to keep learning. I don't think anybody ever stops learning. Right.
And we're at Sync right now, and it's so interesting because you see a lot of people like here that have been around forever, and you realize that you're sitting next to them in the class. They're still learning, and so you hope that you continue to be like them, where they're in the industry for 25 years and they're still learning.
Absolutely. I don't think we ever stop learning.
Yeah.
If we think we know it all, then we become way too overly confident about ourselves, and someone is going to be better than us at some point.
Right, exactly.
Because we never stop
Well,
learning.
and if you don't start learning and changing, you'd still be at Chuck E. Cheese. And
I'd be still Chuck E. Cheese, cleaning the bathrooms.
I know. And you wouldn't be Carla Lynn.
Hey, I was Chucky at one point. That was pretty cool. I love being Chucky. The kids would start crying and run off, and it was the best thing for me just to chase those children. I hope it was like the worst nightmare.
Yeah, you probably.
Anyway,
they
but I
probably
had fun doing that stuff.
they probably still have nightmares about
They
you.
probably still do.
They're like your son's ages. They're like in their 20s, and
Yes,
they're probably telling their friends right now. There's this lady dressed up at Chuck E. Cheese, and she would chase us.
That would be me. But changing for me, going from digital images where my clients were not printing, which ironically, that story I just told you of that client had $75 CD. Once I did her other 2 children and I had transitioned to products, she hands me the CD and says, I need you to order prints for me now.
Right.
I was like, oh my, so to me, it was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do this. And even my own brother had taken a photograph that I had taken of his girls in Cancun, and he went and printed it off at Walgreens. Mm-hmm. He had it sitting in his home in 8x10. And I came over to his house and I look at it and it looks blue.
Yeah, it's green or blue, yeah.
Green, blue. And I look at that thing and I went, if my own brother did it, all he had to do was ask me and say, okay, hey, just order me an 8x10.
Yeah.
No, he went to Walgreens and did it. So if he did it, then
Why would
anybody else do it differently?
Yeah.
So then it was my image, my time, my work, my effort, my talent, my passion. It's green and blue.
Yeah.
Like, I can't have this.
Yeah.
So to me, that was a turning point. And then I literally just took a leap of faith and walked away from it, thinking that they really wanted the digital files, which they don't.
I think they want the digital files because they feel like they want to have something forever because these are important to them. Mm-hmm. I don't think they want the digital file as a product, most of them. But but think about it, like when you purchase something, if you could have all the products and then also know that you always have them, I think there's some power in that. Like you never know when you're going to need them again, and
you might, yeah,
in like 20 years from now. So I think it's like a peace of mind,
Might be, and you're probably right. I do not to this day offer any digital files
at all.
So I can tell you my business is still on no digital files.
Yeah.
We give our clients the app, which has the images that they've ordered prints on with my logo on it, so they can post on social media. Most of them are just especially the seniors, they just want it so they can post it, for Selfie Sunday, Throwback Thursday, or whatever. How many days of senior they have left.
Yeah,
that's what they want it for. No, I have every image I have ever taken still because my husband has like 3 or 4 servers all backed up and everything.
Yes.
So, if one day the Lord has something in store differently for me, we will contact every client. And at that point, they can have the opportunity to purchase them. But right now, I still have them all.
When they have products. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so this next part's called the lightning round. And
it's called the what?
Lightning round.
Okay.
So they're just kind of quicker questions. You don't have to go into tons of
That means don't talk much. Got it.
No, you can.
I'm good. I got you, Matt.
All right. Anyways,
I'm putting him on the spot. This is awesome.
So the first question was, what was holding you back from becoming a full-time photographer? And I think you talked a little bit about it, but like, what was that like when you were making the transition? Like, what was holding you back?
Well, I think fear. Fear is the greatest thing. Didn't know if I could do it. People are telling me you can't make a living at that. That's a hobby.
Right. And you were probably thinking, yeah, you're probably right, because I go work for 2 hours and I make $75. This, you're like, well, that's $35 an hour, but
But it's really not that.
Yeah.
So I think, but yeah, it was really fear that kept me from doing that, and then also believing in myself.
Yeah.
I felt like I had to conform to what the clients wanted. They're like, I want a session here with this kind of couch, and I want glitter, and I want all these things. And
Sure.
I felt like I had to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
But when I finally got over that and said, no, this is what I do.
Yeah.
If you want it, great. If not, go find somebody else.
Right, which is awesome. So, and your style is awesome for sure. Okay, so if you had $1,000 right now, if I give you $1,000 and you had to buy something in the photo industry, what would you buy?
$1,000. I'll be honest, totally honest and transparent. I'm not the person to ask. It's my husband.
Right.
He is my techie guy.
Yeah.
He is the one that takes care of everything and keeps up with all of that.
So you would be like, what do we need? And he would...
So I guess I can say when I was starting my business out and I didn't have a lot of gear at first, I would say, hey, honey, I want a lens that can kind of do this. And I would describe the kind of imagery or the kind of like, I wanted like a shallow depth of field or something. So he would do all the research on the type of lenses and equipment.
Cool.
I'm blessed.
No, I think that's a good answer.
Yeah,
No.
It's him. He's the one, and I have more. I mean, God has blessed me with everything that I need, and you don't even need a lot to do what you do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so but then I give you that same $1,000. What would you not buy with it? Like, what do you think is not worth $1,000?
What do I think is not worth $1,000? I'm trying to think, what have I bought that's been a piece of crap?
Exactly.
Gosh, I just find a way to use anything and everything. Oh, wait, go back. You know what I would buy with $1,000? I'd buy leaf blowers.
You would
Can
buy,
that work?
Yeah.
Can that count?
Yeah.
So
you would buy leaf blowers?
I would, yes. I would buy lots of leaf blowers. I love my leaf blower. Is that terrible that I just said that?
No.
Leaf blowers are so great for seniors, yeah. And I'm trying to think, what would I not buy? Dang it.
It's all right.
You're going to have to come back to me on that one,
I
man.
know. That's fine. It's fine. Okay, so next question. What's the best advice you ever received?
Best advice I ever received. Can it be kind of a question that something was asked me that wasn't an advice? So I would definitely say Rachel Martin.
Okay.
I got to spend a week with them when I did Texas school years ago.
Like how long ago? Like 5 years ago?
Let me think.
And you don't have to be the exact
7
date.
years ago.
Okay.
About 7 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that was the turning point in my business.
Okay.
She basically asked me, what's this all worth to you?
Okay. And
when she said, how much money did you make this year in sales?
Mm-hmm.
Is this worth it? What's this all worth? What do you need to make?
And do you remember what you were making then-ish?
I do remember what I was making then-ish.
Yeah.
I think, everybody's embarrassed when you have a successful studio kind of tell you that. Then that year we had done like 60,000 in sales.
Yeah. And so what did you think when she said, is this all worth it to you? What did you think?
My response was, when I looked at how many hours I had put in, how much time I had taken away from my family, when you take account into all those things, that number sounds really good, but when you really break it down, it's really not.
And you realized you were making like minimum wage. Yeah.
I said, no, I'm not making enough. Uh-huh. And so she said, well, how much do you want to make? And so then I had like my little stepping, and I said, well, if I could do like 125,000, I'd be happy.
Right.
And she's like, no, let's make it 200. And I was like, okay.
So what did you start? Because obviously that's a mental shift. So then what did you start changing like to get there?
Well, I started thinking. What changed was my why was my kids, my family. Mm-hmm. So it was, I'm going to charge more money so that I don't have to do so. I can work a little less, spend more time with my family. We have a son that's about to go to college. I need to take that financial burden off my husband because he's the provider of the household.
Sure.
I want to take care of that. I want to travel. I want to work hard, and I want to play hard.
Right.
So that dollar amount shifted into my way of thinking with how much I was charging.
Well, yeah, because then at the same time, if somebody doesn't want to pay you a lot, then you're like, well, I'll just go hang out with my kids,
Oh, absolutely.
Or pay me so I can send them to college kind of thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it was. And I did get a lot of people that, well, what do you mean this much? And I'd be like, this is just what I charge.
Yeah.
So when you can learn to stand your ground in what you believe in and what you're worth, it works. It will work. And if the client doesn't hire you, then they're not your client.
Right.
Let them go.
That's awesome. Okay. So what's one personal habit that you contribute to your success? So what's something that you do that you think makes you as successful as you are?
Part of it, I guess, it would be just more of a character trait for me. Also, I'm very personal.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so
very simple.
I want to know people.
Yeah.
Like, I get into their space and into their life to know people.
Yeah.
I think everybody longs for relationships. Everybody longs to be heard and listened and valued and appreciated and just going like, I am so thankful for you.
Yeah.
So that is something that I do. I don't ever let a senior feel like she's just another senior.
Right.
Because there's a lot of that. And I have to be careful. I do 140 seniors a year. That's a lot of kids.
Yeah, so you can make them all feel like they're just one out of 140, yeah.
Come on. I don't.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's so interesting, like, I know everybody at this conference loves you, and you're so personable.
Nobody knows me. What are you talking
are you
about?
kidding me?
I'm like so unpopular. Hey, I'm okay with that.
No.
It's okay. I'm unpopular. I'm like the quirky kid. Nobody knows me.
No,
It's okay.
everybody loves you. And so I'm going to tell you this really funny thing. So when you're getting to know somebody, one of the things that you always say, like after you tell a couple quirky jokes, is that you say like, I see you over there. And so like when I see you in the crowd, like at Sync talking to people, and you start like getting all loud and riled up, I'm like, oh, here goes Carla again. She just made a new friend. Because as soon as you make that connection, then they're like, yeah, tell me more, and you just get all fired.
I guess I'm just so like you can read it all over my face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my husband's like, honey, you can't hide it. Are you this way with your clients? I'm like, I think so. I don't know how else to be.
Yeah, no, you're awesome, and everybody knows who you are here, and they all love you. So just so you know, maybe they don't come up and talk to you because you talk so much. Maybe that's
it. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
but I promise you, I'm a good listener too. I
Right.
mean, that's why my kids love me. I listen to them, but then I do talk to them.
Yeah, that's fair. Because this podcast now is going on 4 hours. I'm totally joking.
Dang.
Okay, we're almost actually done. So recommend like an internet resource or something that you use online or something that inspires you or that you tend to go to or something like that.
Well, I can tell you when I started my business, I would try to do some of the creative lives that they had. I really, really enjoyed that. My struggle was being here and impaired. I could not do two things at once. So that's a downfall that I have. I literally can't really even listen to very many podcasts while doing stuff because I have to read things. So, if I had all the time in the world and attention, I would be all about like Creative Live or any podcasts and stuff because I do love it when I can do that.
The education stuff.
Love the education.
So when you're at a conference here, like, is it just hearing aids and it's loud enough that it's okay? Is that the deal?
It is. I do go home much more drained.
Yes.
Because I'm having to work twice as hard to make sure I can hear everything and understand everything. So it is draining. It is overwhelming, especially when everybody's hanging out and you get a lot of people talking. It's very hard for me to hear and listen.
Yeah.
But
that makes sense.
this conference is my favorite because Jody saves me a spot.
Up front, yeah. And then you got to be like the center of the attention is what happens. Because you don't think anybody knows who you are because everyone's behind you.
Actually, somebody said yesterday, who's this Carla Lynn? She's got papers in the white chair. Like, who is this person?
and you're like, I will talk to you and meet you and you'll never forget me kind of thing. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. A book that you'd want to share? Are you a big reader?
Oh my gosh. I love to read, but life got really busy and I stopped reading, but I've made myself start reading again a lot.
Okay. So what book would you recommend?
Obviously the book last year we had from John Acuff when he came, the finished book, that was a really good book he had. This year, I read a book by Bob Goff called Love Does.
Yep, I read that too.
I love that. And I just finished reading a book called The Book of Joy.
Okay.
And it is and I know we're not supposed to talk religion anyway, but it is with the Archbishop and the Dalai Lama. So you have the Buddhist and the Catholic, two worldwide leaders spending a week together, and it's an interview of both of them.
Oh, cool. So does it read like an interview, or how does it read?
It shares moments of them back and forth, so it does have some of that, but it also has the interviewer's perspective of what he sees and the relationship between these two leaders who have two different beliefs, but yet at the end of the day, they have the same common goal, which is to love people, to share joy, to have peace. And I'm telling you, even as an artist and a photographer, that's what we're all about.
Right.
Like, we just need to love everybody. Love the people in our industry, love our peers, love the other photographers. We're not here to bring anybody down. There's more than enough business for all of us.
Right.
And so I just connected with it at such a deeper level.
Yeah,
you have to read that book.
So it would be so interesting. I think that dynamic is so interesting because those two men are, world renowned and really highly respected. And I could only imagine the amount of respect they probably have for each other.
Oh, completely.
Like, you would just assume it's like there's conflict there, and there's not at all.
Oh, there's not.
But you could just imagine them sitting in a room like just pouring into each other, trying like listening and stuff. That would be
and
really
they are,
cool.
and you have to read the book.
Yeah,
because it's very interesting too. The Dalai Lama doesn't get a lot of physical touch. The Archbishop hugs him. So it talks. The interviewer talks about seeing the Dalai Lama receive physical affection.
Yeah,
and how he receives it.
Yeah.
And I guess in their culture, in the Buddhist culture, they can't dance. And it's his birthday, and the Archbishop gets up and dancing, and Dalai Lama gets up and dances with him.
Right.
So he does something that's completely against his religion.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Right.
So I don't know, just really powerful. I'm just into books that are uplifting.
Yeah.
And becoming more empathetic people.
Yeah.
Caring people.
That's awesome. Yeah. I really loved Love Does by Bob Goff. Like, well, and it was
love him.
Well, he was so good, but it was also like I wanted to read it, but then sometimes it would just make me so sad, like it was such an emotional book, like not sad, like I don't know how to explain it. Like it was just so emotional that sometimes sadness comes out of emotions just because it was just so good anyways.
But sadness is not always a bad thing.
No, exactly. That's the best way to describe it.
And I think that's what we need to change our perspective. Because even as artists, we are emotional people.
You're right.
Like we are deep people. And when we are not appreciated or we don't feel like that, we feel like we're no good.
Right.
But we can come out so much stronger.
Yeah.
It's just how we choose to see and how we choose to walk through that journey. Great book. If you ever can meet Bob Goff, because I met him at church, he came and talked. He is the bomb.
Really?
And he's so quirky. He laughs at himself because he knows he's quirky. He doesn't care. He owns it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And my son both of my boys came with me, and they looked at me and I went, Mom, you're kind of like Bob Goff. I'm like, that's awesome. I can be quirky. I don't care what anybody else thinks about me.
Right.
This works.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've heard really good things about him, but I've never had a chance to meet him.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so tell us how people can connect with you, like online. Like, how do they follow you?
So the best way to see what I do is on Instagram.
Okay.
That is where my seniors are. That is where I am.
And what's your Instagram handle?
Just my name.
Carla Lynn?
Carla Lynn.
Okay.
Just me.
Awesome.
No fancy name.
And your website is?
I do. I have a website. It's www.carlalynnphotography.com. So my latest, I keep that current. So all my senior work is on there. But definitely on Instagram. I do a lot of Instagram stories, and I try to keep them very authentic and real. I think too many of us try to paint the perfect, pretty picture of life in the box. And so I'm kind of here to be the rebel and break that.
Yeah.
And show my double chin and show it's 30 degrees. We're freezing our butts off, but we're making this work.
Yeah.
So I really do a lot of that.
Yeah, because that's your brand. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And then I hate Facebook.
Yeah.
But we do Facebook. I hate Facebook.
I was like, hey, I'll send you a Facebook message about this podcast. And you're like, just don't. I'll never see it. Don't do it. You're like, just send me an Instagram. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah, my staff will take care of Facebook for me. A lot of the moms are there. But the seniors are what are driving the business right now, not just the parents. Like if you ask who heard about you, it's the seniors that say, hey, Mom, we're going to this person.
Yeah.
So I'm investing more of my time there.
Yeah, like the parents get veto power, but the kid's making the decision, and that's it. Yeah.
And they'll get what they want.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting, too, when it comes to the ordering session, though, they're the ones that are trying to dictate how the parents are spending their money
I know.
So, then I've got to step in and go, now, let me tell you something, little Matt.
Right.
You're only 17 years old, and you don't know what the impact of this in the long haul.
Yeah.
So don't worry, you'll get your images to post on social media. Not that we give a crap about how many likes it gets or how many comments it gets, because I don't care about that.
Right.
But it's for your children. It's for your mom. It's for your grandchildren.
Right.
So then at that point, I actually put him in his place, and I kind of let the parent kind of step back in.
Yeah,
I need to stop talking. These questions are supposed to be short.
No, this is great.
So long.
Well, no, I mean, this is like a normal length podcast.
Is it?
As much information as you're giving, like it's normal. So
Okay.
Okay, so just one last piece of parting guidance you could give photographers. Like, what would you tell them? Just advice.
One piece of advice. Gosh, there's so many. One of them for sure would be, I think photographers need to be a little bit more open-minded about willing to learn from other peers and other people and go into conferences.
Sure.
I feel like a lot of, and maybe I'm wrong, again, let me rephrase. I live in my little bubble, so I don't follow a lot of people. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I'm taking care of my clients, and I'm taking care of my family,
Right.
and I'm trying to do a little bit of self-care with whatever time's left over.
Right.
Because so that would be a piece of advice. Give yourself some self-care.
Yeah.
That is a piece of advice I do have for photographers, because we tend to become last on everything else, especially as women. Not that I'm saying men not also, but a woman is a mother, a wife, trying to have so many other roles and take care of their clients, and then there's just nothing left. We are so depleted. But that is something. Self-care would be one for sure. And then also would be just being a little bit more open-minded. I feel like a lot of the younger industry, they feel like they just know it all, or they can't learn from any of the seasonal photographers, of those of us that have been in the industry, because maybe we're a little more outdated or whatever. I don't think that's the case. So I think they should be willing to learn a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think as I've gone through the industry, what I've figured out is maybe at first I wasn't ready to hear something from somebody that was been around longer than me. So that was one block. But then also I was like, thought they were irrelevant. And then you realize, like, okay, when I talk to somebody, I don't have to learn about them when it comes to business. They can just teach me about shooting.
Absolutely.
And so just take what you can learn from them. You don't have to learn it all,
Absolutely.
And then go to somebody else that can talk to you about, that you're interested in hearing about, the business side or the lighting side or whatever. And so, pick and choose, but be open-minded. Don't just put everybody in a box and say they can't teach me.
Yeah. No, I think everybody can learn from somebody. Like I said, I'm even here and I'm still learning. Yeah. I don't think we ever stop learning.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah. I did my first podcast. I feel like so important.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on it. We're here at Sync for a couple more days, so let's have a good time and hang out stuff. So thanks everybody for tuning in. That's Carla Lynn. Check her out online. She is amazing, and you have to follow her. She's being humble right now. She's like shaking her head, but she's really awesome. One of the reasons that Allison and I come to Sync is to see Carla, honestly. So. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to From Nothing to Profit, a photographer's podcast with Matt and Kaya. Be sure to subscribe for more business strategy and ideas to help you create the profitable and successful business you've always wanted. See you on the next episode of From Nothing to Profit.